So this week I'm going to do something slightly different. I'm going to do a front runner rooftop tent review, and we'll show you the pros and cons and what we like about it and what we'll do differently about it. But to start off, I'm just going to show you how easy it is to put up, and I'm actually going to set a timer on my phone to show you how long it takes me. So we've also been living out this tent solidly for the last 3 months on the road, so we feel like we can give it a good honest review. Okay, to start with, I'm just going to set a timer on my phone, and then I'm going to put the tent up and I'll just show you how long it takes to put it up. Okay, so I've just finished putting it up and it took me 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So that's not long at all, and it's pretty easy. And the more you do it, the quicker it becomes. The first couple of times it is a little bit time consuming, but you get the hang of it really quickly. So now I'm going to get into the pros, the cons, and the overview and our own opinion about the tent. So to start with, we're going to talk about the pros. And the first things first for us is the low profile and the weight of it. So when it's packed up, the tent, I believe, on the market has the lowest profile of any tents of this style, and it only weighs 43 kilos as well. That's excluding bedding inside. But if you compare that to others on the market, it's at least 10 kilos lighter than any of the others. Next, I'm going to talk about the durability. So we've had this tent up in some incredibly strong winds on the south coast and west coast of Australia, and it hasn't had any issues whatsoever. The poles have held strong, nothing snaps and nothing's broken, even in the worst of winds. It also hasn't let any water in either. We've been in heavy downfalls on this trip, and it's never once let any water in, which is brilliant. Next, we can talk about the ventilation on the tent, and I'm going to show you the doors and the windows. So with every door, you'll have a canvas one, which is waterproof, and then underneath, you have a fly screen, which we don't have zipped up at the moment, but all the windows are exactly the same. They all have a midgie net and they have a canvas waterproof door, and neither of them have ever let water in, and we've never noticed any flies or mosquitoes getting in over night time when we leave them open for ventilation. I'll just show you inside as well, because there is a couple of ceiling ones as well. So if you come in, you've got these ceiling vents, which are great for airflow, and you also have these side windows here that also have a midgie net. Both work great, and on hot nights you can unzip it and leave the midgie nets up and have plenty of ventilation to keep you cool over night time. We also have never had any condensation in the tent, so we've never had any moisture build up. And also when we've packed away the tent wet, like it's rained throughout the night and we've packed it away, we've never got back into the tent with the mattress and the sheets being wet. So next we're going to talk about the inside of the tent, and first things first is the mattress. So it comes with a standard, I believe it's a 50mm mattress. And we've been sleeping on this solidly for the last 3 months, and believe it or not, we actually find it incredibly comfy. It did take a couple of days just to get used to it, but we found it pretty comfy pretty quickly. Next, we've got the pockets as well. So you have 2 pockets inside the tent, one down this end and one at the other end. These are incredibly useful for putting your phones, your keys and your wallets in over night time or during the day. And it also comes with this bit of floor space, so when you first come into the tent you have a little bit of space here. Just with the mattress as well, we've had 2 of us sleeping and living up here, and we haven't felt that it was a tight fit or a squeeze for both of us to sleep over night time. There's plenty of space. Also with that floor space at the end, if you do need to charge electrical equipment or anything like that, you can normally place it at the end and it won't take up any of the sleeping space. So when you get the tent from new, in the box will come with a variety of different brackets for different setups. Whether you mount it to the canopy like myself, or you mount it to a roof rack, it will come with different brackets for different setups. But if you're interested in a different video, I can show you how I mounted my tent to my canopy. If you leave a comment, I can always get back to that if need be. So the tent also comes with this super heavy duty cover for when it's packed away, and it's never once let any water dust or anything in. We've put it through its paces over the last 3 months. We've had tree branches rubbing on it. We've been in heavy rainfall. We've been in extreme temperatures, and it's never once let anything into the tent. Right, so I'm just going to show you a couple of bits and pieces around the tent. So when you get the tent, you will receive 6 poles, 1 for each end, 1 for the center per side. So around the other side it'll be exactly the same, and this just holds the rain fly up. It actually keeps it incredibly sturdy throughout the night. But on this front porch here, we do get a bit of rainwater sitting in that after a heavy night of rain, but it never leaks through, and normally I just push my hand through it in the morning and it will just run off. So up next we're going to talk about the cons about the tent, and the first things first is the floor for us. So on the flooring, well, we've actually still got the plastic on it. We should have taken that off. But when you're kneeling on the inside of the tent, you actually end up leaving a few little dents in the floor. I'll just take you inside quickly and I'll show you what I mean. You won't be able to see it on the camera, but when I unzip the tent, when you're clambering into your tent to start with, you have to basically, when you fold the tent up, the mattress will be in half up to one end, and then you have to climb in to unfold it. And it all, when you're on your knees, you can just see it. You can see these little dents in the floor here. I'll just leave a few of those. I don't think it's bad in any way, but you will start to notice that pretty quickly. But all we've got is just this yoga mat here, and as soon as we climb into the tent, we put this yoga mat here and we kneel on that, and we feel like that's counteracted the dents on the floor and made a bit of an improvement with that. Our second con is the fact that when you fold the tent up, it does not fit your duvet and pillows in there. We've got a normal duvet and 2 normal pillows in there, as we want comfort over the next 3 months. When you come to folding it up, it does not fit inside. So we've got a box inside the canopy that we put our duvet and pillows in. So that is a little bit of a con because it takes up more space inside the canopy. But that's counteracted that the fact that when you fold it up, it is a really low profile. So it has less wind resistance when driving and doesn't look so big and bulky when driving around. But in saying that, I'm not saying that you cannot fit a thin pillow and a thin sleeping bag or sheet inside it. But for us, we haven't tried it. And when we did try it, and try and fold it up with the duvet and pillows in, we just felt like it took too much time, and we ended up damaging the zip in one corner when we tried to put the cover around. It was just a little bit too tight. So I'm just going to show you the zip that I said that got damaged when we tried to put the weather cover on. It was just in this one corner here. See, it's just got a little bit damaged. It hasn't affected it too much, but that was caused just a fault of our own. We was being impatient and we were trying to wedge a duvet and 2 pillows inside it. And the outcome was that the cover was just getting stretched and just stressing that zip. So it's a fault of our own, but you won't be able to fit a big duvet and pillows in there. Our next con is the ladder. It's not what you think, but when sometimes we've had a wind going in the direction of the ladder, we've actually had the tent folded in half on us before. It's not ideal, but we were not inside the tent when that happened. We was down the beach or something and we just left it and a strong wind gust had come through. But to counteract that, when we camped on sand, we just use a couple of sand pegs and we just put a couple of pegs around the bottom rung here. Or if we're camped up on a surface like today, we've just got a couple of little weights that we strap to the bottom rung and just stops any strong wind gusts folding it up and over. When it did fold up and over, not too much happened, but the only thing that did happen was this pole up in this corner here. You won't be able to see it. Try and pull it out. It just got a small kink in it. It didn't snap and it didn't break. It's been about 2 months since that happened and it's still going strong. So just pegging the ladder down or putting some weights on it, that will avoid that scenario happening. So the next con is that it can be a little bit noisy when it's windy. Just in these corners here, it just flaps around a little bit and it can become quite noisy over night time and keep you awake. But I think any tent or any camper van or camper trailer in strong winds is always going to make some noise. So we're not too concerned, and we usually just use earplugs for the night time when it is a little bit windy. But you get these straps in each corner and you can pull them tight just to avoid that happening. Our last and final con is that you've got these 3 poles in the tent, 1 for the center, 2 each end, and they just slot into these little slots. And on a couple of occasions when it's been really windy, the rain flies caught the wind and just pulled those poles out from their slots. And it's not a big concern, and the tent won't collapse if that happens, but all you have to do is just clamber up whatever your setup is and just put the poles back in their slots. I'll just show you quickly. So the poles just fit into these little slots here. So on a couple of occasions, they've just pulled out like that. But all you have to do is climb back up and put them back in. And it's only happened on a few occasions when it's been incredibly windy. So again, if it's not windy, that probably will never happen to you. And to finish off, I'm just going to give it a little bit of an overview. So the tent is about $1,500 Australian, and we think it is well worth the money. It's obviously not the most cheapest on the market, but it's also not the most expensive. But for $1,500, we're incredibly happy with it, and we've lived out of it for the last 3 months and really given it a run for its money. So I hope today's video is helpful for you. We've given the pros, the cons, and a bit of an overview about the tent. If you have any more questions, leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you about them. But if you've liked what you watched, hit the subscribe button and we'll see you next week.